Over the 40 years since Mario's proper debut, there have been 64 power-ups that Nintendo have introduced to us all. Of these 64, 39 power-ups have come up once, then just been forgotten about for all of eternity. Today, we will be going over all 39 of Mario's one-hit wonder power-ups and ranking them to see what is the best unused power-up of all unused power-ups. Kicking this list off, we have the infamous Poison Mushroom from Super Mario Bros. 2. Whilst being more of a power down than a power up, this mushroom has only appeared once in the main franchise, only reappearing in spin-offs such as Mario Party and Mario Kart. The Poison Mushroom is designed to trick the player into thinking they're getting a mushroom, but instead get laced with Bowser's special formula, killing Mario instantly. Not a very fun power-up if you'd ask me. The mushroom itself moves at the same pace as a normal mushroom, and aside from its potency against Mario, there isn't a whole lot to say about it. As for a power-up, it's gonna have to go in E tier. Moving on to my favourite of the original series with one of my least favourite power-ups is Super Mario Bros. 3's Frog Suit. I'm sorry, I just could never stand using this power-up. Yes, it may be easier to swim underwater, but as soon as you're on dry land, it's a whole different story. Moving feels janky, jumping doesn't always work when you're running, and the momentum whilst using this power-up is just god-awful on the brain. Aside from its swimming capabilities, the only good benefit for this power-up is taking an extra hit from enemies, and personally, I'd rather just take that extra hit than use this power-up for any longer than I need to. God damn. Whilst I may despise it personally, I will give it the factor that swimming does become a breeze to control whilst using this thing, and for that reason only, the Frog Suit gets a D tier. The Goomba Shoe feels more like a novelty rather than a power-up. Just having Mario sitting in an oversized boot with his head poking out will always be funny to me. I mean, look at him, sitting in that big shoe, poking his little head at the top. As for the use of the power-up, however, Mario can use the Goomba Shoe to walk across spikes and bounce off spinies and munchers, and that's pretty much it. And to top all of that off, you don't even get to keep the power-up when you beat the level. Mario just discards of it like it was nothing. Yes, it makes the level you're in easier, but that's about it. You can't use it elsewhere, which adds to the factor of this being more of a novelty than a power-up in itself. Because of its novelty and assistance during the levels the shoe can be found in, it gets a D tier. Only barely, but a D tier nonetheless. Moving on, next up we have the Hammer Suit. This is a power-up I wish they'd bring back to a newer game. No, not like that, not like that. The Hammer Suit is one of a kind, taking on one of the most annoying and hated enemies of the earlier games in the franchise, the Hammer Bros. You get to hurl hammers back at their face, killing enemies in your path, feeling like a badass. Okay, I know it has its flaws. Some may call it the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual Disc of Mario power-ups. I know that trying to hit anything with the hammer is a pain in the butt, to a point where until you're used to the power-up, it's basically redundant for how difficult it is to use. But when you do eventually get it down, it's so satisfying. Especially when taking out those pesky Hammer Bros. A taste of their own medicine. Rating this may come across as controversial, but honestly, I'm going to have to put this in A tier. It's one of my favourite power-ups, and I do wish they'd bring it back someday. The last power-up from SMB3 to never have reappeared is the Tanuki Suit, not to be confused with the Tanuki Leaf. Unlike the Tanuki Leaf, the Tanuki Suit allows Mario to not only fly like its counterpart, but to also transform into a statue. Why? Because Nintendo wanted to. That's why. In all seriousness, the Tanuki Suit is essentially an incredibly buffed Tanuki Leaf, with the ability to turn yourself completely immune to enemies and hazards for a few seconds. Good for when you're in a tight situation where you would otherwise lose your power-up. Did you know there's also a secret Easter egg hidden within this suit? If you complete any castle whilst using the Tanuki Suit, the king you rescue instead says this. Pretty neat of Nintendo to add these little details in. As for ranking this, it is probably the most useful power-up we've seen so far, and quite fun to play with as well, which is why it's going to get A tier. Next up we have this thing. The Super Ball Flower has only appeared in Super Mario Land, with the exception of Mario Maker, and for good reason. Look, I understand hitting enemies with trick shots in Mario Maker was fun and all, but when actually using this power-up in the game it was intended to be in, it's nothing more than an out-of-control fire flower to me. Honestly, I found it easier just to run through the levels and ignore the power-up altogether than actually trying to take out any enemies with this thing. I understand it has its perks, seeing as the game doesn't actually have the fire flower, so this is your best bet. It's as if Nintendo really said, we have the fire flower at home, and then gave us this. If you enjoy this power up, then that's your opinion and I respect that. Yes, it has its moments where it's fun to just see the ball bounce around, but actually using it, it's so damn frustrating. E tier. Moving into the dinosaur territory, we have the cape feather. As the name implies, Mario eats a feather, he gets the cape. Pretty logical. I mean, he eats a shroom, he gets big. He eats flowers, and suddenly he can throw fire. He eats a frog, and has anyone checked up on Mario lately? I'm getting a bit concerned. This isn't normal plumber behavior. Cape feather does exactly as the name would imply, turning Mario into the Superman of the Nintendo universe, except with a bit less glamour and a lot more floating down from the sky most of the time. Yeah, actually getting this thing in the air can be a challenge in itself, and actually flying in the air with this thing, you need consistency. One tap too early, one too late, and Mario's plummeting face first into the crotch of a Koopa. Yikes. If you do manage to actually get the consistency and rhythm down for the cape feather, you can soar through almost every level of the game without even playing it, making this power-up incredibly broken. Maybe a reason why they've been so hesitant to bring it back. Despite its required awkward consistency, the cape feather flies its way into the A tier, simply for how broken the power-up actually can be. E tier. No, but seriously, who enjoys the P-Balloon power-up? The mechanics are awkward, the hitbox is scuffed, maneuvering with this thing wouldn't be bad if we had joysticks, but the SNES only offered to play on the D-pad, so don't even think about moving it exactly where you want to go. Okay, maybe I'm overreacting. The power-up isn't all bad. I mean, yeah, get hit once and it's essentially game over for you, don't get me wrong, but in some occasions the P-Balloon can actually be useful. Those occasions? I wouldn't know. I've avoided this power-up as best as I can during my life, and I don't plan on changing that anytime soon. E tier. Here's a power-up I'm sure most of you forgot was even a thing. Yoshi's wings. Whilst riding Yoshi, if you pick up this obscure power-up, Mario and Yoshi get transported into coin heaven, implying that eating power-ups is bad for you and kills you? No, someone really should go and check on Mario though. Like, genuine. Yoshi's wings can be found in 3 levels out of the entire game, making them to be one of the most obscure power-ups this game has to offer. And yes, I know you can fly with Blue Yoshi on his own by picking up a shell, but that doesn't really count as a power-up in itself. Coin Heaven itself is nothing special, but seeing as it does transform Yoshi into Blue Yoshi, who will retain the flying powers throughout the remainder of usage, its after effects can be very useful and incredibly fun to play with. The Yoshi power-up flushes its way into C tier, balanced, but overall, not the best power-up we'll come to see. Back into Mario's green phase, we have the carrot power-up in Super Mario Land 2. This is the only unique power-up from this game, and all I can say is what a gem of a power-up it is. Look, I know it doesn't do much, you can hover, you can float slowly in a downwards descent just like my bank balance, but honestly, the best part is just how cute Mario looks. Look at him with his little bunny ears. How can you hate it? An interesting fact about the carrot is that it actually has made a reappearance. Kind of. The carrot item is also featured in the Japanese game Mario Family, albeit brief, but it's nice that the power-up was given a second chance, unlike most of the power-ups in this list. As for ranking this thing though, aside from turning Mario into a kawaii anime bunny girl, the hover and float isn't enough to push this power-up beyond C tier. Diving into the realms of 3D territory into one of the most famous Mario games of all time is Super Mario 64. The power-up in question, the Metal Cap. The Metal Cap allows Mario to transform into the metallic version of himself, conveniently called Metal Mario. Using this power-up allows Mario to cross fiery surfaces and indulge in full immunity to all attacks, essentially making him invincible. However, with such greatness, there is a downside. Metal Mario is unable to swim, can't jump anywhere near as high, and just falls from any gap like a boulder due to his weight. Also, about that immunity thing. Whilst Mario may be completely immune to taking damage, it doesn't mean he won't be stunned. And when this happens, it can be super annoying, especially if you're trying to make an already tight jump and you just get stunned in the air, falling to imminent death. Whilst Metal Mario may have his perks, the drawbacks break this power-up out evenly, slamming its way into C tier. The Vanish Cap is one of the dumbest but best power-ups this game has to offer, turning Mario completely invisible. Allowing him to walk through walls and fences, it's just so fun to play with. There's no stupid mechanics, it's simple to use, and it's just funny to walk through everything like nothing in general. But though it has a very limited usage time, it doesn't stop it from being any less fun to use every now and again. With all that said though, the Vanish Cap doesn't hold a strong purpose within the realms of Super Mario 64, and thus is pretty useless in most levels, which is a shame because I think it's a fun and unique idea for a power-up. The Vanish Cap gets the C tier. The Wing Cap is essentially Super Mario 64's take on the carrot power-up with a twist. Instead of Mario only being able to hover and float, with the help of a triple jump, Mario can now fly. Kind of. Look, it's a cool idea. It's fun when it works, but only when it works. 9 times out of 10 this thing doesn't want a trigger, and when that happens, it can cause you to fall all the way down to the bottom of the map back to square one. I know I'm not the only person who's had problems with the Wing Cap, and it's nothing on the power-up itself, rather it's the game itself's issue. An issue with the power-up, however, is when you actually do get off your feet and into the air, the mechanics with the Wing Cap are so painfully bad. Mario just feels heavier and clunkier. Trying to direct Mario with the awkward camera 64 is hard enough in itself, let alone when you're flying. Don't even get me started on trying to get Mario to rise back into the air. If this power-up was used in a more recent game, I could see it being a lot of fun, and having a lot more potential. But alas, the Wing Cap was just too early for its time, signaling its way into D tier. 10 out of 10 game, 10 out of 10 power-up, nothing more said. S tier. Super Mario Galaxy is one of my favourite 3D Mario games. Fueled with nostalgia from my childhood, this was my go-to game. Super Mario Galaxy's Red Star is the only unique power-up this game has to offer, and honestly, I don't remember it very well at all. The Red Star works similarly to Super Mario 64's Wing Cap, albeit with a better camera and more free movement. They basically remade an old power-up, made it 100 times smoother, and then gave it next to no purpose for the entire game. I don't think I can think of a single instance I ever needed to use the Red Star in Mario Galaxy, and I've played a lot of that game over the years. If I'm wrong though, do let me know in the comments, because I genuinely cannot think of a time. So much detail went into this power-up as well, from the outfit change to all the little glows and effects, as well as the added ability to draw in star bits and coins. Aside from that, it lacks any purpose within the game itself, and honestly, that sucks. I wish Nintendo would have given us more content just for the Red Star, rather than making it to be unmemorable and just rusting in the back of our minds. For the power-up itself, it would probably get a B tier if it had any purpose within the game it was made for, but as it doesn't, it's going to have to be C tier. The Yoshi power-ups in Super Mario Galaxy 2 are simple, fun, but honestly not overly interesting by themselves, which is why I've grouped the three together. Honestly, on their own, there isn't much to say about these power-ups. One gives you speed, one turns Yoshi into the godforsaken pea balloon, and one gives Yoshi night vision. Honestly, they add a lot more to the levels and they're fun little quirks to play around with, adding a whole new layer onto Yoshi's levels as a whole. It's a shame we only received a handful of stages between all three of these power-ups, but hopefully one day they make Galaxy 3 and we get to see these power-ups once more. Aside from that, as I said, they are just little quirks and don't have a large impact on the game itself. As well as the controls for both the Dash Pepper and the Blimp Fruit being kinda janky and difficult to control, but I'm grateful for Nintendo giving us more power-ups for our boy Yoshi, especially ones that are fun to mess with, and for that, it gets a C tier. The Cloud Flower allows Mario to form up to 3 clouds with his bare hands, allowing Mario to traverse higher into the sky throughout levels. Not only can you create your own clouds, but you can also walk on any cloud available within the level you're currently in. Just be careful not to step in that pesky water below, or else your cloud power-up will be gone forever. Or well, until you pick another one up. Which, by the way, you'll be doing quite often, seeing as once you've used all 3 clouds in your current power-up, that's it. You need a new power-up. Now, I know there's like no instance within the game that you would possibly need more than 3 clouds at a time. Personally, I think it would have just made more sense for the clouds to reset either when one disappears or when you touch onto the ground. It would make things a lot easier to play and also a lot more convenient rather than having to run around to find a new flower just to go back to where you were to try a section again because you misplaced one cloud. Personally, the power-up is a fun and unique one, but its drawbacks just hold it back from reaching A tier. Maybe I'm just bad at Galaxy, but the Rock Mushroom has some of the hardest controls out of the Mario Galaxy franchise in my personal opinion. Going in a straight line, fine, works most of the time, but as soon as I hit any form of boundary or wall, Mario was just going all over the place, and the next thing I know, I'm falling off into the void and I have to start over. That being said, it's satisfying to run over all the enemies in your path, as well as playing the bowling minigame with the blue monkey. The amount of time I spent as a kid trying to pass that is unfathomable. The power up in itself isn't bad, I just suck at the game personally and didn't find it the easiest thing in the world to control at all times. Does this make it a bad power up? No, only subjectively. I don't think it's a terrible power up, and it does have a lot of moments where yes, it is fun to use and play with. I do appreciate Nintendo also for not overusing this power up within the game. I feel the usability from this power up was just the right amount, and that's fine by me. As for ranking this thing, yes, it is a good power up. It's funny to see Mario get turned into a boulder, and for that, it gets a B tier. I can't say the same for the spin drill as I could for the rock mushroom. The spin drill feels gimmicky. It isn't always clear what you can and can't drill into, and even then sometimes you can't see what's on the other side, so you could essentially drill yourself right next to an enemy and lose the power up. Talk about blind gameplay. But it isn't all negatives with the drill power up. There's one level of the game where you have to drill around and collect 5 silver stars whilst the gravity changes direction on beat with the music. And honestly, I think this is one of the more creative, enjoyable levels the game has to offer. It feels like a slight challenge, and beating it makes you feel good about yourself for a moment. Overall, the power-up doesn't hold a lot of significance with the game, and I can't see it working out in future games like it did in Galaxy, so for these reasonings, it's going to have to be a C tier. Moving into the era of Mario when Nintendo basically wanted to brag about how much money they have is New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS. Lots of people dislike this game. Personally, I enjoy it for the most part. Yes, the coin gimmick gets annoying after a while, but it doesn't make the levels any less fun to play. To feed into the theme of money, Nintendo gave NSMB2 2 unique power-ups. The first of which is the gold block. By hitting a multi-coin block 10 times within a certain time limit, the game grants the player the golden block, which Mario will wear on his head. The block will give Mario up to 100 coins provided he doesn't get hit, and then just explodes off of his head. That's it. That's all this item does. I mean, thank you for the free 1-up, but in a game revolving around coins, that was never going to be an issue in the first place. This item is a cool side feature, but its purpose is next to none, and that's why I'm going to give the gold block an E tier. I know what you're thinking. If the gold block was E tier, then the gold flower won't be anything above D tier, as it's just a coin-fueled flower. And to that I say, you'd be right. If it wasn't for the fact that the fireballs can explode, that's right, when you fire a golden fireball into a group of blocks, all of the surrounding blocks erupt into coins everywhere, killing anything that surrounds the impacted area. Honestly, the golden flower is such a fun power-up to use. Just blowing anything in your path into coins is a satisfying feeling. This power-up truly is unique and turns Mario into a money-making machine. The gold flower gets an A tier hands down just because of how satisfying it is to use. No arguing. The statue leaf is essentially a remodel of the Tanuki suit. It can only be found in special levels of the game. That's all I have to say. It's a clone item hidden in a secret part of the game. D tier for lack of creativity. Do better, Nintendo. 3D World has a lot of unique power-ups, so I'm going to try and sum them up as quickly as I can to save you from boredom. Starting with the cannon box. Turn yourself into a cannon and blast your enemies away. B tier. Double Cherry. Multiply yourself and build up an army to take down Bowser. A tier. Goomba Mask. Turn yourself into Bowser's slave. Also terrifying. Where did you even get that? D tier. Ice Skate. Have a nice day out skating and forget that your girlfriend's been captured by an oversized turtle. C tier. Lightbox. Turn yourself into Thomas Edison's greatest invention. D tier. Lucky Bell. Tanuki suit, but now you're a wealthy cat. A tier. Super Bell. You lost all your money and now you're just a cat. B tier. The what? E tier. No, but seriously, what is the point of this? Nobody's ever going to use it as it was the 5-player gamepad only, which nobody plays. Nobody has that many friends, right? E tier. The Super Acorn is basically the cape, Tanuki leaf, and the propeller mushroom mixed into a nut. Using the Super Acorn turns Mario into a flying squirrel, allowing Mario to shoot up into the air and glide around back to safety. Unlike the other flying power-ups we've spoken about, I actually really like the Super Acorn. The balance between controls, usage, and overall output just feels cleaner than the others. I think the height gain is fair, and the glide isn't overly challenging to control. If I was to make one change about this power-up, it would be about the gliding. I feel like the gliding should have been more similar to the cape power-up, as sometimes it does feel like you're falling like a sack of bricks, and it can throw you off. However, aside from that, Super Acorn gets a pass from me. B tier. P-Acorn, Super Acorn, but now you can't stop flying, which removes my issue with the glide. A tier. We all know what this caused back when it came out, and I'm not surprised Nintendo haven't brought it back since that incident. As for a power-up, it's okay. It turns Soda into Peach, allowing her to float in the air. It doesn't add much special into the game, and it's only really used if you're playing Deluxe on easy mode, so for a normal playthrough, you won't even encounter this power-up. It does what it says on the tin, C tier. I don't really know what to say about this one. All it really does is start a coin rush, so E tier, I guess. Does anyone like the bubble flower? It's clunky, it's not fun to use, and all I could ever get out of it was a little bit of extra height by bouncing off my bubbles. Yes, you can catch enemies within the bubbles, but with how slowly the bubbles move, by the time they've reached the enemy, they've already moved out of the way. I'll give Nintendo this. It's innovative, it's not overly creative, but I can imagine it was a fun concept. Unfortunately, the outcome was subpar and fell somewhat flat, and for that, it's gonna have to go in D tier. I spoke too soon. They brought back a remodel of the spin drill, except this time, it's actually good. The drill mushroom basically serves as a cross between the spin drill from Galaxy and the spiny helmet from Mario Maker, allowing Mario to take out enemies by jumping upwards into them, as well as drilling into the ground and ceiling. The difference with the drill mushroom, however, is that it's really fun to play with. The mechanics are smooth, and all around just a very fun power up to use in general. A tier. The final power up of our list to close everything up is the elephant fruit. Wowie zowie! This oversized apple transforms Mario into an elephantated form of himself. Elephant Mario can attack enemies with his trunk, as well as slamming down butt first into the ground to unleash a much more powerful ground pound. Not only does it make Mario stronger in attacking, but by running into stunned enemies, Mario can simply kick them out of his path. The elephant fruit turns Mario into a
Wowie zowie!
version of himself, creating a beast not to mess with. S tier all day. After our very scientific testing and definitely no personal bias, we have the conclusion that the best Mario power-up that Nintendo should bring back to the game is a joint tie between the blue shell and the elephant fruit. Both of these power-ups are unique and just downright fun, for the most part. As for last place, that goes to these two star things, the boost star and the coin rush star. They don't really hold much value to the games themselves, they barely assist Mario in any way helpful, and honestly, I doubt anyone really remembers either of them, or better yet, cares about them. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe to the channel. We're getting closer and closer to my dreams each day, and I would love to see you around. Also, it helps let me know you guys want more of this style of content. Please do let me know in the comments what videos or topics you would like me to cover, and I'll be sure to look into them in the future. Thank you for watching, goodbye.